we're trying to figure out is flashes of insight, and particularly what Leonard Cohen said about me, that I was a great master of the surreal and serially surreal. You know, what is it that you can test for that would explain making associations most other people wouldn't make, but that turn out to be useful? I mean, that's what this is.
That is the essence of divergent thinking or creativity.
Yeah,
that is the essence of it.
Right.
And psychologists typically do tests that look at convergent thinking. That's what these IQ tests are. Right. These are convergent measures, not divergent measures.
Right.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but if that's what you're interested in, what I need to think about is what measure could we get that would help us to assess divergent thinking in you.
Yes. No, that's exactly what I would like. So let me say in general, I want to do more testing, and I'd like to see that Timothy Leary book and talk with you about it. But there's no hurry about it, and you can ponder this and see which tests you think would be good for me to take. But that's very much what I would like. And I enjoyed being there before, so I would like to repeat the experience with new, personality tests that would add facets somehow.
I think the issue is what is really available at this point to look at creativity. Back when I was in, was it undergraduate or graduate school? One or the other. I did write a paper on creativity and intelligence. I did, because I was very interested in that concept,
Right.
And that's why I can tell you today that it's divergent versus convergent thinking. I wrote a lot about, the paper, I probably lost it, but to me, the most important thing I can be as a scientist is creative.
Yes. Yeah.
It isn't a matter of like I watch my son and I talk to him. He is very highly creative. Mm-hmm. My father was very creative. I watched my father solve problems, repairing things, making new parts for things, doing this kind of thing my whole life. Mm-hmm. I learned to do the same thing. Right. I can, I'll tell you a funny story. Do you have any more time, or are you running out of time? Tell you this funny story. 10 years ago, maybe 15, a guy comes in off the lake. I live on a lake, and he's on a snowmobile, and he's got a couple freezing kids with him. It's dark. His snowmobile had gone through a crack. Hadn't been completely submerged, but it was a heave, and the snowmobile is kind of stuck. Kids are wet, and so I said, "Well, we got to get the kids back to your house first of all, and get them all warmed up." And I'm driving them back, and I says, "We ought to try to get your snowmobile out of there before it freezes." Mm-hmm. Once it's frozen in, it's there, Right. So he says, "Well, how are we going to do that? You can't get this or that, or the other thing." So anyway, I had a sled that I could put behind my own sled, and I put a big 6x6 beam in the sled and some 2x4s, and went out to the site where his where his snowmobile was. Oh, and I had it come along, which is a kind of a winch,
Mhm.
and my ice auger. All those were my tools. And so about 50 feet away from the where the snowmobile went in, I drilled a hole, not all the way through the ice, maybe down 3 feet, so that I could put the post in it.
Mhm.
Are you getting where I'm going with this? I
Yeah.
hooked up the come along to that post. Now I had something that wasn't going to move, and I winched that snowmobile right out of the ice.
Wow, cool.
And I put it on top of the with the 2x4s. We slid it up on top of the existing sled. We saved his snowmobile, and I got a bottle of Cavassier.
Good for you. Yeah.
Now the point is that I came up with that solution in a couple minutes.
Mhm.
I'd never done that before. I'd never seen it done before.
Right. Yeah.
Now that is a creative solution to a difficult problem, and most people, I guarantee you, couldn't have done that.
Yeah.
You could have done it, I believe, but I'm just telling you, most people can't do it. So what is it? What is it about that? Well, we're taking a whole bunch of different variables and spinning them around in our head and putting them all together in terms of coming up with a coherent solution to a problem.
Yeah.
That's what that is the essence of creativity.
Mhm.
And you do it in your work. I know I do it in my work. And that is not something that's measured by your verbal IQ.
No, but I think that you'll be able to find some tests that may give us more insights. So let's go for it. I think that would help us write the book, give us more angles to talk about, different vantage points. Yeah, so that would be good. And I have these two young people, Mallory and Ching. They're helping me write the book, and getting testing was their idea in the first place.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
What?
I never would have done this on my own, but they suggested it. So anyway,
What do Mallory, besides being writers, what is their thing?
Mallory Chipman is one of the most talented young musicians in town. She's 25. She's Tommy Banks' granddaughter. Tommy Banks is the most famous.
I know Tommy Banks.
Yeah, so she's his granddaughter. Yeah, and then Ching Yin
Play
Wang.
piano?
She does play piano, but she mainly sings. That's her.
Is that right?
Her instrument. She's a vocalist. Yeah.
What kind
And
of is she a jazz singer?
yes.
But my sister.
Yeah. So Mallory, early in her life in junior high school, won a province-wide speaking contest. So she was also a very articulate person. So that I'm sure that helps in writing lyrics, but it's kind of a separate skill. There could be good singers who are not articulate, but she is. So anyway, and she's always wanted to be a writer, and so she's sort of channeling that interest through us doing this memoir. And then Ching Yin Wang is a young physician at the University of Montreal. She's in her first year of training there in pathology. But when she was looking around for residency programs, ours here was one of the ones suggested to her. And the more she thought about it, the more she thought that she would still like to come here for the visit, but mainly to track me down. She was fascinated with what I had done and the kind of guy I seemed to be. So she wanted to meet me. So she came here for her residency interviews and wasn't particularly interested in that, but burst into my office and we talked for 45 minutes and we've sort of worked together ever since, even though our only face-to-face time was that 45-minute encounter on
Yeah.
February 6th, 2020. So
So and so she wants to be a pathologist too?
yes, yeah,
I see.
yeah,
I see.
yeah. So, but those two people, they have sort of overlapping interests, but very different vantage points,
Yeah.
and it's working very well. I have other people as well. You'll find on my YouTube channel that the entity owning the intellectual property there is called Just Machines, and there are actually, depending upon how you count it, like between 6 and 10 young people working with me who have a stake in the stuff that I do. So, yep, that's how it works. So
Well,
that's how I ended up doing this, and I think I'm speaking on behalf of Mallory and Ching when I tell you that I do want more personality testing, and I'll wait for you to figure out what you think would be useful, and we can then do that. Yeah, and we can talk about Timothy Leary too. That'll be good. So you get your reward, and I get mine. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, I'll look into it. I just,
Great.
Offhand, now I do have a psych abstracts database available to me, so I kind of know where to look for starters. But like I say, for me, I haven't really been thinking about this particular issue for many years. I have to tell you though, it is a very important area.
Sure.
It's not inconsequential, and really that creativity. It's an interesting thing. I haven't told you about my daughter's an artist.
Hmm.
My sister is a jazz singer, by the way.
Yeah, cool.
And but my daughter is an artist. She's in Iceland right now. And I think she's just looked at the volcano there,
Mhm.
and but she's a painter, and she but what's interesting about her is that she's an extremely good writer.
Mhm.
And here's what's interesting about that in terms of the art world. There's a lot of great painters out there, but I don't think a lot of them can bullshit about the artwork like she can.
Right. Yeah.
She can write about what she's doing or what she's feeling in really beautiful terms, and really articulate her thoughts behind her graphic art.
Yeah.
And that's the same combination you're talking about with your writer.
Yeah,
The ability to articulate what's going on in her head about her music.
Yes. Yeah. No.
And I think it makes a very, very interesting combination, because most artists can't articulate what it is they're doing.
Mhm. Yeah.
And if you can't articulate what you're doing, I think it makes it harder to sell the art.
Yeah. Well, listen, I think we may, by finding out what makes Kim Solez tick, we may find out some basic things about what makes creativity tick. So
That'd be good.
go for it.
Okay. Well, I'll look into it now. Are you satisfied that we've
Yes.
covered off what's here?
I am completely satisfied.
I was concerned. I didn't want to get your shorts in a knot over your memory performance.
No, it's fine.
But I spent some time at the outset of this pointing out to you the difference between predictors and criteria.
Sure.
And I want you to bear that in mind, because these things aren't the criteria. Your memory performance on this test isn't the criterion of what you've become or what you've done.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. Okay, well, I have to run now, but thank you
Okay.
very much for this. And I am not going to close the door on further interaction
Okay,
here.
it's my pleasure.
We should do more.
Yeah, I'll look into it, and once I have, I'll get back to you. But you know, and I'm happy to do that. It's interesting to me too. So
Great.
But I'm going to keep all these data in a file.
Sure.
That I will keep, and you have materials there that
Right.
to use as you will.
Excellent.
And
thank you.
And like I say, I don't have a problem with you lifting out of the recording
Right.
ideas or thoughts that that help to amplify your book.
Sure.
You know,
Great.
it's your personality, it's your findings. I'm happy for you if you find something interesting or useful in all of it. Okay, and I'll try to see if I can find more.
Cool. Okay. Well, thank you very much, and we'll be in touch for.
All right. It was very nice talking to you and meeting you.
Same here. Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye.